Ross Ade Stadium, home of the Purdue Boilermakers, is usually filled with the roar of the crowd and can be heard from the nearby Hills and Dales neighborhood, which is also home to West Lafayette Junior-Senior High School.
I'm Mayor John Dennis. I invite you to tour our historic Hills and Dales neighborhood, where in 1922, when it was platted, homes were required to cost a minimum of $5,000.
We're at one of the homes in the Hills and Dales neighborhood with Melissa Prochnow, who along with her husband Jay own the home. And Melissa, obviously this is a great house, but what else attracted you to this home and to this area?
Well, it was really important. We were looking for a home to stay in the West Lafayette School District. That was a big priority for my husband and myself. And we also really liked this area. The homes are very unique, and that really attracted us to purchase in this area.
With small children, what were some of the difficulties with finding a home in the Hills and Dales neighborhood?
One of the difficulties that we had was finding a home that offered a master bedroom on the same floor with the children. So on the second floor we have the master bedroom as well as all of the children's rooms.
Tell us about some of your favorite features of the home.
The entryway is definitely one of my favorite features of the home, and the staircase. I'm really fond of the moldings, the plaster casts, and in several of the rooms we have are pretty unique. There's a buffet in the kitchen that actually was put in by the Revingtons, and that stayed with the home, although it's not stationary, which is pretty great that everyone has left that here for the next owner to enjoy. We have the fireplace is pretty unique. It has some very nice moldings, as well as a painting, which I'm not sure is original to the house, but has definitely been there a while. So. The front door, oh, that's great too. The shape is really unique, and most people who come in think that the front door is pretty great.
Do people ever get a chance to check out the bomb shelter that you guys have?
Several people have had a chance to check out the bomb shelter. Yes, and that's kind of creepy, but it's different.
Well, Melissa, you have a unique home. Thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to see something that a lot of people won't get a chance to see.
Thanks, it was a pleasure to have you.
We're with Don and Sandra Corrigan at their home here in the Hills and Dales neighborhood. And Don, what can you tell us about the history of this house?
We're the second owners of this house. A family by the name of Huffman built this house in 1936.
And this is a home that you've both noticed before and you'd considered purchasing if you had the opportunity.
I told her about the house. I don't think you'd ever been in it, had you?
No.
She'd never been in it, and I bought that. This is something guys shouldn't do. You shouldn't buy a house without your wife seeing it, but I bought this house. I just saw it, and they called me, and then I said, okay, we're going to take it.
So other than the proximity to the schools, what were some of the other things that really brought you to this neighborhood?
I worked at the university, and of course that was easy to walk to the university. I always liked hills. I liked living on a hill, and this was one of the hills in West Lafayette. Plus, I like the design of it. I think it's supposedly, what, a French cottage they call it or something. Mm-hmm. And I just like the design of it.
Since you've been here since 1972, how has that changed over the years for the two of you in particular?
We moved in this house. We were the young people in the neighborhood, very few children. And the people were very tolerant, and we had a big German Shepherd to add to problems. And now we're the old people on the hill, and everybody still gets along great.
There are still a lot of original features to this home, including the area that we're sitting in now. The windows are original. What were those things that really drew you to this home in the first place?
You know, I simply came because of location. And that was my whole focus, was to get near the school.
Since you've moved in, you've made your own additions to the home. You've also brought in your style, and Sandra, you mentioned one of your favorite pieces. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, my petticoat server?
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
I love that piece of furniture. It's in the dining room, and as I said, things are just things. But this is a thing that I would keep if I were moving. And that's my most favorite thing I own.
Well, one interesting thing about this home is the middle room, sort of halfway up the stairs. How are some of the different ways you've utilized that room?
Well, it was the bedroom when we first came. I had 2 boys and a daughter, and everybody had to have their own bedroom. So that was Shannon's bedroom. Then when Shannon left for college, it became a sitting room, and I think it's been a sitting room ever since.
And you mentioned the fireplace earlier. How much enjoyment have you got out of that corner fireplace?
Yeah, it's a great conversational piece. There's not many corner fireplaces like that, and obviously we're on a hill and with a big smokestack, and it really draws, and we used to burn wood in it, but my wife and I never agreed on fires. She thinks I was burning the house down. I like roaring fires, and it was easy to get that kind. She didn't want that, so eventually we put a gas log in it, which works great and doesn't burn up the furniture.
And you eventually got over the marble eyes with the owls that seem to glare when you have the fire burning?
Well, when I first saw it, I said, I have never seen an ugly fireplace before. And you know, you just don't. And I think it was so different from anything I'd seen or expected to live with. And then it had the black screen that's curved to fit. And when you light a fire, the owl's eyes are green marble, so they light up and sparkle.
Now, a lot of the artwork that you have here in your home is actually done by a neighbor. What can you tell us about that?
Directly behind us is a lady by the name of June Burkholder, who, when we moved here, had a studio. Actually, she changed her porch into a studio, and she was a well-known Indiana artist. And through the years, we've got a pretty good collection of June Burkholder.
Well, Don and Sandra, thanks so much for showing us your home today.
You're so very welcome.
You're so welcome. Thanks for coming.
We're in the Hills and Dales neighborhood with Arn and Jeanne Cooper, who have lived on this street since 1972 and in their current home since 1986. And Jeanne, just what is it about this neighborhood and this street in particular that's kept you here for so long?
I think living on a cul-de-sac is the best of all possible worlds. And when we decided to move from our former house, looked all over the county and finally decided that we loved this street more than any other. And this house became available. And so we snapped it up.
And Arnie, this is it's a colonial revival home, but it's also pretty special in terms of its construction. What can you tell us about the raw stone that makes up the home?
Well, one distinctive feature of the house, and something that we liked, is that it's constructed of raw stone. And raw stone is an artificial stone that was manufactured by a local company named Raw Stone that had been founded by David Ross. And it is a material made of limestone shale that are brought together under heat and pressure to create tile-like surfaces that then can be used and put on the surface of a house. It's caulked then in between the stones. There are around Lafayette and West Lafayette several structures that are built of raw stone.
Now, Arnie, do they still make raw stone?
No, it was a great building material. Houses could be put up very quickly, and you had a permanent material that did not require much maintenance. However, I am told that the building trades opposed it. It went up so quickly that really there was much less work for the workers who would put it up. And so expansion in the use of raw stone occurred slowly in the 1930s. And I'm told then that after World War II, they decided to go in a different direction. They discovered that the material they used had good electrical insulating properties, and it began to manufacture materials for the electrical industry.
How's the house held up, though?
It holds up very well. Occasionally new caulking has to be put in between the stones, but it requires no painting and is a very durable material.
Other than the raw stone, what were some of the other features of the home that really attracted you to the place?
I think the spaciousness of the interior, very large living room, two sets of glass French doors opening onto the patio and the screened-in porch, and the amount of land involved. It has a lovely backyard.
As you've lived in the home, you've obviously personalized it a little bit. You mentioned there's a dresser that you have that's pretty,
yes,
pretty old.
There's a a chest in the dining room. We are told that it dates from about 1740.
Well, Arnie, Jeanne, thanks so much for showing us your home today.
Good. It's a pleasure having you.
This original fieldstone subdivision marker was built in 1924 and is one of only 3 remaining. Well, that wraps up our tour of the Hills and Dales neighborhood. For Tour de West Lafayette, I'm Stephen Smith.